Hey everyone, it's Rochelle with Losing It on Keto. And in this video, what I have for you is the easiest Jello / pudding recipe that I've made to date. So this is I guess you could say it's an ongoing saga, because you've noticed I've published a number of these lately. And I stumbled onto this by accident, and I'm so excited I wanted to bring it to you. So I have a very minimalistic recipe. I was going for not having to make the pudding or Jello on the stovetop. So I was looking for an even easier way to make this, and I found it. And while doing that, I actually made a mistake and stumbled upon a more minimalistic recipe that works fantastically well. So I'll explain all of that, but that's what I've come upon here. So to eliminate the need to cook on the stovetop, and don't get me wrong, that is a fantastic recipe. I highly recommend it. But if you're short on time, you don't like to cook, etc., I have a very simple recipe for you. And it is as delicious, okay? So what replaces the cooking on the stovetop is just boiling water. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to boil in the microwave a half a cup of water. Now, if you're opposed to microwaves, maybe you have a tea kettle or something. Okay, so there's a half a cup of water. I'm going to throw this in the microwave for 90 seconds. And while that's going, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to serve this up in my single serve Ninja. So I'm going to put a half a cup of cold water that I'm going to use to bloom the gelatin. And I'm going to use the same ratio that I discovered for creating a pudding type consistency. So this is a 1/4 cup, so I'm going to do 2 of these. So what I had discovered was make more of a pudding consistency, to do 3/4 of a teaspoon of gelatin per 1 cup of liquid. So because this has a cup of liquid, I'm going to do 3/4 of a teaspoon of gelatin. So I've got a half a teaspoon here. Here's my beef gelatin over here. So here's a half a teaspoon. Then I'm going to add here, and then I'm going to go with a half of a teaspoon. Okay, so I've got that gelatin blooming. We don't need the gelatin any longer. The water has now boiled, so I can get the gelatin out of the way. And I'm also using, just to show how successful this is, I'm also using the protein powder that I find the least versatile, to show how accommodating this recipe is. So I'm using the Equip chocolate protein. So this is a beef protein. It doesn't have acacia fiber, so I'm going to add that. And what we want is 60 grams of this protein powder. Okay, and my gelatin is blooming here. So let me I guess I'll use a bowl here to get, I was going to put it right in there, but I want that to bloom. So let's get 60 grams of our protein powder. A little bit more. Perfect. There's our 60 grams. Okay, now I like to add acacia fiber, and keto chow is like 40 to 45 grams, is about 2 grams of acacia fiber. So for 60, I'm going to do 3 grams of acacia fiber. Okay, a little bit more. All right, we'll get this out of the way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 1/2 cup of hot water to the 1/2 cup of bloomed cold water with the gelatin. Okay, and then I'm going to add the protein powder. Let me get a spoon. And you could have this, you can have this all set up with the bloom gelatin already, so you could add the protein powder and the acacia fiber right to your blender container, so you don't have to do this step, which is what I should have done. But I wanted to film everything on the camera, so just to show you without any editing, etc., how easy this is. And you know me, I like to clean as I go. A little bit of my OCD here. Okay, so we want a little bit of salt. Always add salt to your desserts. Okay, we've got the salt, and I'm going to do a tablespoon of cacao powder for just the extra rich chocolate flavor. Okay, now we can get this out of the way. And then I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of tarragon for the creaminess. Here it is. And let me just do a mental checklist. That I'm going to give it a squirt of my liquid chocolate allulose, the RX sugar. And that is it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up. And like I said, my single serving. My single serving blender. Move this over so you guys can see it. Okay, let me take this off. Let that settle before I open it. Now let me get a container to store this. Okay, now I'm going to open this. Okay, now I'm going to pour this in here. And I'm going to refrigerate this overnight. Okay, so this is going to go into the refrigerator covered. Now, I've already made one and I've already tasted it and I want to show it to you. But what I'm going to do, and I've done this before in my previous videos on this, where I've shown you the effects of the different protein powder and such. But now I'm showing you the effects of the different preparation. So I am going to do the stovetop version of this with the exact same ingredients to give you the texture and taste test. But I already made this recipe and I want to show you. Let me see if I can get this close enough and have the camera pick that up. But look at how creamy, delicious. I'm telling you, this is fantastic. One thing I didn't do in this, and I believe this is the cause for the top here, is I had forgotten to add in the cocoa powder when I blended it, and I just stirred it in. And I think that's the result of the top. So I think the one I just made, that's not going to happen. But I just wanted to show you this part here. And I just had a quarter of this recipe. It's fantastic. So that was the trigger for me to say, I want to film this and show this to you guys. But this is, look at how fast that took. Didn't require cooking on the stovetop. Super, super fast. And as I said before, a minimalistic recipe. So you saw, you can have this if you're dairy free. So this was made with water. So I eliminated the keto milk from this. Okay. So when I say minimalistic, it is by eliminating the milk and going dairy free. I have made this with the keto milk, which is very good, but I'll tell you, there wasn't that much of a difference between the keto milk and using it with water or making it with water. And that I just stumbled upon this. It was a mistake. I meant to use milk and I used water. And then I realized I got a good result and I'm like, oh my God, I got to share that with you guys. So there you have it. But like I said, in the next segment, what I'm going to do, and I'll do this off camera because I've already done this. I'm going to make the stovetop version of this that I did back in my protein Jello video. So I'm going to make the stovetop version of this, and then I'll show you what I just put in the refrigerator. I'll show you that in comparison to the stovetop in the next segment. But like I said, the Equip is a beef-based protein, and I have found even the Keto Chow beef-based, the core product, in comparison to Equip, I find the Equip a little less versatile. So in my birthday cake recipe, you may have seen me try and make a frosting out of the Equip protein, and it didn't work. It was too liquidy. The pea protein I attempted didn't work either, but that was for a different reason. That was because it was too earthy. But anyway, so I feel like I took the hardest protein to work with, a beef-based protein, and from Equip, and get a huge success. So I have no doubt this will work with every protein. And like I said, it's very minimal. You just boil a little bit of water, and in no time at all, you have a delicious pudding. And I will put the ingredients and the macros of this in both on the screen, like I always do. And I will also, given your guys' input, I will also put it in the video description, so you have that. But anyways, in the next segment, I'm going to come back and I will show you the side-by-side comparison of this easier to make, minimalistic ingredients compared to the stovetop that will have the milk and cooking on the stove. Okay? So I'll see you back in that segment. Hey guys, I called an audible. I thought I'd come on while I'm making the stovetop version. So just to remind you what I'm comparing to. So I'm making half the recipe. So this is 2 cups of milk. So I've got a 1/4 cup of the keto milk in here with, once again, using my 3/4 teaspoon of gelatin per 1 cup of liquid ratio. So because there's 2 cups of keto milk, that's 3/4 teaspoon times 2. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of gelatin blooming in the 1/4 cup of keto milk. And then what I'm heating on the stove here, on my induction burner here, is I've got 45 grams of the same Equip chocolate protein powder, to a 1/4 teaspoon of tarragon, a 1/4 teaspoon of glucomannan powder, because I want this more of a pudding type. I got a little bit of salt. I have 2 grams of acacia fiber. And then I've got 1 3/4 cups of keto milk. And that's what I'm heating here on the stove. And then I have a tablespoon of cacao powder to this, just like I did with the other version. So once this starts to bubble, I will take it off the heat. I'll pour it in here, mix it well, and then I'll refrigerate it. And like I said, in the next segment, I'll come back and show you the comparison. But there was something else that I wanted to share with you as to where did the notion with the water come from. Because a lot of my recipes either come from the standard American diet stuff that I liked and said, let me try and make this. So when I went keto, it was like, let me keto-fy it. And then when I'm PSMF, it's like, oh, let me make that PSMF compliant. And I love that challenge. And the more I'm doing this, the more I'm getting confident, more knowledgeable about what effects ingredients have, quantities, etc. And you're seeing that kind of play out in my videos. And I'm always looking for what's the easiest way to do something. I'm very big on efficiency, but I don't want to sacrifice quality for efficiency. So you know, there's that sweet spot. So I found a recipe from Like Hot Keto Hot, or Like Hot Keto, that called it, and I filmed this, and I'm not going to publish this recipe, but it was called Greek yogurt fluff, protein fluff. And that called for adding the protein to a Greek yogurt with the water. And I found that had a tang to it from the yogurt. So I thought if I did a cottage cheese, I could get rid of that tang. And while I thought both were doable, it's like I have such a better tasting version of this. Why am I screwing around with this yogurt and cottage cheese? Okay, this is done. And so then I said, well, let me see what happens if I eliminate the yogurt and eliminate the cottage cheese, and then I made it with just the milk. And that worked out well. And then I made a mistake because my intention was to remake it, but I made it with water. And lo and behold, that worked. And that was what how that recipe evolved. So I love that I can make this even without the yogurt or the cottage cheese, or for that matter, like what I just did, even without dairy, without the keto milk, even though it's minimal because it's 3 parts water to 1 part milk. But still, to have this dairy-free, that's awesome. So anyways, guys, here you see I've made the stovetop version using the same protein powder, the Equip, which is a beef-based protein that I added acacia fiber to because theirs does not have that. Some of their flavors do have acacia fiber, so you need to check that. But anyways, I just wanted to share that information with you, and I'm going to go ahead and refrigerate this, and then now we'll come back in the next segment, and I'll show you the two side by side. And the net result is there's going to be a very minimalistic recipe that yields awesome either chocolate jello or chocolate pudding, both protein. And so you have options for how you want to make this. And you're not sacrificing taste or texture. And that's what I'm going to show you in the next segment. See you then. Okay, guys, I'm back in this segment. It's been about 24 hours. And this one here is the minimalistic one. This is the one that has no dairy, didn't require any cooking on the stovetop. It was just the hot water. And then this is the one that was cooked on the stovetop that I've made before. Both of them have the chocolate Equip protein, which is a beef-based protein. Both of them have acacia fiber, the same amount. This is made with milk. This is made with water. They both have 1 tablespoon of cacao powder. This has a 1/4 teaspoon of tarragon, a 1/4 teaspoon of glucomannan powder. This does not. This doesn't have the glucomannan powder. I think I did put a 1/4 teaspoon of the tarragon in this. But anyways, let's see what we've got. So I showed you this yesterday when I didn't mix in the cocoa powder. You can see it's a little Jello-like. If I took a hand mixer to this, I would make it pudding, because I know that 3/4 teaspoon to a cup of liquid, I can take a hand mixer and make it in a pudding consistency, which I've shown before. But anyways, this is fantastic. So an even faster way, and even no dairy, a minimalistic recipe. Okay. And now let's compare it to this one. And maybe what I should do is maybe I should put these on a plate and show you side by side. So remember, these are the same amount of ingredients. This has milk in it, which I believe is why it's a lighter color. Although I'm not sure about that because, I mean, this has water. But this does have 2 cups of liquid where this has just a cup. All right, I'll give the other one a taste. And like I said, this one too, if I used a hand mixer, I could easily turn this into pudding. This has a smoother mouthfeel to it, but for this having no milk, you know, being dairy free, and having a, you know, a faster way to make this, and I used my single serve blender on this, so it's like if you have a NutriBullet or something like that, you could do this very easily. But anyways, guys, both of these are winners. I already knew this one was, but this is an absolute winner. So yeah, this works, you guys. And I think I explained in the previous segment, I just stumbled into this because I mistakenly put in water, because it called for water if you were adding Greek yogurt. And I didn't care for the chocolate with the Greek yogurt or with the cottage cheese. So I thought, well, let me try the water without either of those. And the first time I made it with milk, which is what my intention was. So anyways, I realized, oh wait, I'm making it with water. And it turned out. So I discovered this by mistake, and it's absolutely going to be a go-to recipe. So there you have it, you guys. You can't go wrong with either one. And like I said, this has a little bit of a smoother mouthfeel, but I will make that trade-off for no dairy and a simpler way to make. Okay? So that's all I've got for you. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.